Good morning. Welcome to the first live stream proper of the season. We did do one when the game launched, but that doesn't really count because we didn't know about all the player prices. I hadn't thought about my team and stuff like that. So we're going to do one today. I know that 10:15 UK time in the morning on a Friday randomly is probably not the best time to stream, but to be honest with you, I just didn't have time to do a video for this time slot, so I thought we'd stream instead. And let me just say straight away, so I'm going to get loads of questions about it. I would mostly ignore the team that you see on screen because for content reasons and just for my own personal tinkering, I constantly have different drafts. This is not my locked-in draft. It probably won't look exactly like this because I've got a Sheffield United forward up front, and I will play around with it on this stream. So don't panic too much about what it looks like right now. Prime time for Australia. Hello, Australia. You've got sunbathing soon in Dubai. Ooh, very nice. Very nice. Ndia? How do you say it? Ndia? I don't know how you say it. I watched the thing, it was like NDIA, but maybe he was trying to say it slow and I was supposed to say it quicker. I really shouldn't have put him in my draft. I don't want to say his name. In fact, I'm going to change him right now because there'll be too many questions. We'll just put Morris in. No, not even Morris. We need to sacrifice someone. Alright, Matoma, you're back in. And up front, it can be in Kunku. There we go. It saves the embarrassment of me saying that guy's name. They have signed the new striker as well, Traore. Benny Traore? It's probably not pronounced like that. He might take penalties, possibly. FPL Swee messaged me about him. We were hoping he'd come in at 5 million. He came in at 5.5, which is not great. 12:17 in Kenya. Happy days. Best time for India. But we'll see. Pre-season streams aren't really that popular. It's just not how it works. But I think we'll do one now, and then the next stream might even just be the deadline stream. We'll see. I might do one the week before FPL launches. But anyway, we don't need to worry about that right now. You're on draft number 802. They're rookie numbers. Rookie numbers. Everyone seems to love Man United fixtures. I'm not convinced after the first three. I don't think Man United fixtures are anything special, to be honest. I think when you're picking players, you're considering a few things, right? One is definitely fixtures, but also it's the quality of the player as well. So someone like Rashford is fantastic. I mean, just as a comparison, with these fixtures, let's say someone like Gibbs-White had really good fixtures to start off, which I know they don't, but if they did, I'd still probably back Rashford over him for the most part. Obviously, there's a massive difference in price. You've got to work with the budget you've got as well. And yeah, I think 2 away games against Spurs and Arsenal is not ideal. But to be honest with you, every other game outside of that, up until like game week 9, is probably fine. Like Wolves at home, Forest at home, Brighton at home. It's not too bad. Burnley away, Palace at home, Brentford at home, Sheffield United away. I think the fixtures are all right. And even after Man City, like it's Fulham, it's Luton, it's Everton. There's not really a huge amount to worry about. It's just annoying that the two of the toughest games in the first 9 game weeks are in the first 4 game weeks. But I think overall, Rashford's probably going to be a decent player just to kind of hold on to. You've got Nkunku's a player that really intrigues me. I feel like you can kind of get attached to players in pre-season and you talk about them so much, you consider them so much, you feel like you've got to have them and that you'll make a mistake if you don't. Nkunku's one of those players for me. I wish the Chelsea opening 2 fixtures were just slightly better. I really don't think Liverpool at home, West Ham away is that much to be worried about from an attacking point of view. But it would be nicer if they were just slightly better. But I think he's going to be nailed on. He's either going to play as the striker or more likely as like a shadow striker, number 10. I think it's quite likely he's on penalties as well. And he's only 7.5 million. This is a guy that got 20 returns in the league last year. 16 goals, by the way. Only 4 assists. So I'm quite tempted by him. The main reason he's not been in many of the drafts that I've shown on YouTube is because I keep reverting to a 2 up front, and Jesus just always fits in quite nicely as the second Arsenal attacker. It's just like I know I always use this term. It's just like a domino effect, isn't it? Right? In terms of who you pick. Like midfield wise, I'd be pretty happy with this midfield. But if I decided I wanted Trent in, I'd have to make some cuts somewhere. So Odegaard would probably go, and I'd maybe play like a 4-4-2 or whatever, 3-4-3 maybe. Yeah, I suspect I will end up starting with Trent. again, I've talked about the fixture blocks quite a lot. I feel like you can really frame Liverpool's fixtures as kind of really good, not really good, but good or bad quite easily. Like, again, it's not ideal that in their first 3 game weeks they've got Chelsea and Newcastle, but if you can get through the first game, even with just an assist, let's say they lose the clean sheet and he gets an assist, well, all of a sudden, right, we'll get rid of that Chelsea game off the screen. From game week 2, in the next 5 game weeks, oh, I'm on the wrong screen, they've got Bournemouth, Villa at home, Wolves away, West Ham at home. I mean, those 4 fixtures are really good for someone like Trent. And so all of a sudden things look a lot better. Okay, you've got to get through game week 7 and 8, Spurs away and Brighton away. Not ideal. But then look at the fixtures after that. Everton, Forest, Luton, Brentford. Like, I just think this period here, I know we're thinking a lot, we're thinking a long time ahead. I get it. But these fixtures here, I will want a Liverpool player or 2. Okay, now it might be that someone like Diaz or Jota or Darwin or Gakpo is nailed on by that point. Maybe Szoboszlai is a really good option for 7 million. But ideally, you'd have Salah and Trent. So I'm thinking, what if I don't need my an early wildcard? Like, wildcarding just for 1 Liverpool player or 2 is probably not going to be worth it. So why not just hold them from the start? So although, I don't have Trent in this draft, like, I'm not going to keep repeating. In fact, I'm going to put it on the ticket. Don't panic about this draft. It's not the final draft. I do think I'll probably start with Trent. There's just so many good midfielders, isn't there? It's tricky this year. It's really tricky. I don't think the price in long term will be great, but I think for game week 1 it's pretty good. Hang on, I'm gonna put. Okay, I'm just gonna put that in the ticket. This is not my final draft. Stop worrying about who's not in this draft. Got the notification late. We've only been streaming for like 5 minutes. I get the argument that Trent's a midfielder, but it's not. That's not the only comparison you're making. It's not the only comparison you're making. Like, let's say, how much is he? 8 million, right? Let's say you've got 13.5 million to spend, and it's Trent and a 5.5 million midfielder, or Martinelli and a 5.5 million defender. Who's going to win out there? I suspect it would be Martinelli and the 5.5 million defender. So the idea that Trent is this midfielder and so he's automatically has to be in our sides is not the only thing to think about. I still think I'm probably going to start with him. But it's not a guarantee for me this season. It's definitely not a guarantee with Salah. I have done a video on a 4-4-2 draft with Trent and Salah. It's not out till next week, I think. It is possible to get both of them in, but you really need a cheap forward option. And I just think Ferguson, Calvert-Lewin, Wissa, not that exciting, I would say. I think Wissa could be fine, but I don't think he's good enough that would make me necessarily want to go for Trent and Salah. But we'll see. I've had drafts without Trent. I still wouldn't change that much. Don't need the money. Yeah, I said this on a video. I've recorded so many videos this week. They're all scheduled to go out over the next few days. I can't remember which one I said it in, but I was discussing the same thing, right? You drop Trent to a Shaw or someone like that, you got 2.5 million. Most people only need like $1 million, $1.5 million to get the midfielder they want. So the other 1 million, it doesn't go to waste. But most people don't want to put it on their bench. People are really against having a decent bench. And so the money kind of gets lost. Or you start making upgrades you don't really need to make. Like if I had a spare $1 million in this draft, for example, I could do like Matoma to Maddison or Foden. And look, if Foden was absolutely nailed on, then yeah, I'd probably want him. But it's not an upgrade that I feel like I have to make, that I'd be that worried about. Like Matoma is just a good option. Please discuss the game week 1 bench boost agenda. What agenda? I wouldn't be doing bench boost game week 1, to be honest. It's not only that. If Liverpool sign a DM, then Trent's a bargain at 8 million, lots of clean sheets. Yeah, possibly. I mean, you've also got to remember there's a good bit of change at Liverpool. Fabinho, is Fabinho gone yet, or he's going? I can't remember if he's going or gone. Henderson is probably not a big miss. He's gone. Milner's gone. Is what's his name? There's another guy. Keita, is he going as well? Lots of midfielders are leaving. They've still got obviously Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott. They've brought in McAllister, Szoboszlai. Will that be enough? Will they click early on? Maybe. There was a bit of chat around bench boosting game week 1. I wouldn't bench boost game week 1, to be honest. I just wouldn't. Like, I get the idea behind it, because then you're kind of free to think about just your first 11 for the rest of the season, and the way that the money is set up, the prices of the players probably means that it's viable, but you just don't know enough. You can often bench boost in a double game week, etc. I probably wouldn't do it if it was me. You love Odegaard in the draft. Yeah, I can't. I feel like I can't get away from Martinelli chat. Like, Martinelli is the. I think. Hang on, let me just check. I haven't got Jesus. Let me just check Jesus. Yeah, Jesus is 33.3%. Oh, he's owned by literally a third of all FPL managers, and Saka, Odegaard are both higher owned than Martinelli. But I feel like everywhere I go, it's just a bunch of Martinelli chat. Is he not going to be like a little bit of a... Is he not going to lose a few minutes to Trossard? Trossard's been playing as a number 8 in pre-season, so I don't know. Is Gabriel still nailed with Timber? I would say yeah. I mean, Timber's a right-sided player, isn't he? So right back, mostly right centre-back. And Gabriel's a left centre-back. So I think Gabriel's the most nailed Arsenal defender. I could be wrong. Yeah, nobody is saying that Trossard is better than Martinelli. I think people seem to hear... I feel like people don't hear what I'm trying to say about Martinelli. I'm not saying he's an issue and he's going to get benched. I'm not saying that. But I do think he's one of the attackers that is most likely to come off early. Because they got someone like Trossard that can go and play there. They don't really have someone that can go and play in Saka's position. Not that would usually play there. I mean, Trossard could. Jesus could also play there if he had to. But usually Saka's minutes are great. Jesus, I guess they have got Nketiah and Havertz that could play up front. Trossard could even play up front as well. I don't know. Maybe I've got it wrong with Martinelli. Maybe he just won't ever be subbed and he'll play 90 minutes every game. Or get the same amount of minutes as like a Saka. In which case, I want him. Jesus will lose more minutes than Martinelli. I'm not convinced about that. I think that did happen last year, but only because Jesus was back from an injury. So, I don't know. Again, maybe it will be the case. Maybe I'll massively regret having Jesus instead. I suspect that Martinelli's going to make it into a draft of mine sooner rather than later. Gabriel's the most nailed on, but it's Kivior who will compete with him. Yeah, and obviously Kivior could play left back if needed as well. Could play left back. Steele's first pick goalkeeper. I presume that Steele will be first choice this year, but the reality is we just don't know yet. It'll either be him or Verbruggen. Either way, you're getting a 4.5 million goalkeeper. But most people in game week 1 just don't want to double up on defences, and nearly everyone I see has got Estupinian. So that's why most people aren't looking at a Brighton goalkeeper. Like, goalkeepers and defenders kind of go hand in hand. Like, more so the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper will get picked based on who the rest of your defence is. Like, lots of people early on, and probably still now. I haven't checked his ownership actually. Luke Shaw's ownership, 34.7%. But once Onana's in the game and people start messing around with their defence, maybe they get a different defender in, Onana will suddenly become a lot more popular. And I think he will be 5 million. Father, Flecken, Trent, Porro, Estupinian, Shaw, Mac 10. I'm not sure about Mac 10 as an option. I don't think he's going to be attacking enough in this Liverpool team. Bruno and Cisse. I don't think Encisa's going to be nailed on enough. Salah, Haaland, what do you think? I mean, you've got, if you want to get, Saka, Bruno, Salah, and Haaland and Trent, you've got to make some sacrifices. I'm just not convinced they're worth it. It's probably worth dropping one of those players down. Is Glyn member for 13 months? Thank you very much. Is Stones a good option? Potentially, but I mean, Man City got so many centre-backs. My assumption would be that Ruben Dias and Stones would be pretty much nailed on. But I don't think you can ever say that about a Man City defender or player in general, apart from maybe Haaland and De Bruyne when he's fit. Edison. So potentially Stones is a good option early on. I don't know how long that will last. Do I think that Onana will come in at 5 million? Almost certainly, I would say. Almost certainly. I'd be really surprised if he's 5.5. I don't see why he would be put at that price. But maybe FPL will have seen that so many people want Onana at 5 million that they'll go higher. Don't know. With Trent playing as a midfielder and Rashford likely to play up top for Man United, is 4-5-1 essentially the same? No, it doesn't work like that as a 3-5-2. No, it doesn't. Not really. I mean, 4-5-1 could work. I think it's an interesting formation. But it doesn't mean that 4-5-1 is essentially a 3-5-2. Because it's like I said earlier, you've still got to slot other players in. So again, just coming back to that example, I know it's an easy one to use because it makes the point. But if you've got 13.5 to spend on a defender and a midfielder, you're looking at a combination of Trent and Enciso, who might not be nailed on, or maybe Martinelli and Luke Shaw, Martinelli and Ben Chilwell. And I think the conversation then is a lot closer in terms of who is the best combination. So Trent is fine. Trent is great, but I don't think 4-5-1 is then the same as a 3-5-2. It's not really how it works necessarily. Andreas, thank you very much. Cam, replacing Mboma with Diaby. I mean, we'll have to see how much he is, right? Oh, is Onana in now? Is Onana in? Oh, no, he's not been priced by FPL yet. Yeah, Diaby, it would depend on his price. Could be interesting. Jandra, Wissa and Foden over in Nkunku and Mboma. Yeah, you could go that way if you wanted to. I mean, I'm doubtful whether that's a better pick, though. Like, Nkunku and Mboma are probably better for minutes than both of those two. And they're also probably both on penalties. So I don't necessarily think that Wissa and Foden is better. Like Foden is what, like there's a few players, I tweeted about this the other day, like Foden, Alvarez, Jota, Darwin, like mostly from Man City and Liverpool. But there is probably some other players, but mostly from Man City and Liverpool. Jota, Darwin, Gakpo, Luis Diaz, Foden, and Alvarez. If they ever become nailed on because of injuries and stuff like that, or they're just getting a really good run in the team, they are great FPL options. So that's my only opinion around Foden. If you think his minutes are going to be great, he is a great option at 7.5. If you're in any way worried, then he's not. And that's it. That's it. All Foden needs is time on the pitch, and that could definitely happen early on. Longer term, who knows? But I would say that Nkunku and Mboma are probably better. Sean Martin, 11 months, thank you very much. Thoughts? You have too much money in defence on your bench, makes you inflexible. Yeah, this isn't my team, as I keep saying. This is not going to be my final team or anything like that. I mean, it might be. I mean, you say it's... I mean, okay, let's say this is my draft. How is it inflexible, though? Who can I not get? Trent and Salah? I mean, how can I make this team... I don't think you can make it super flexible to get both of those players. You're either committing to them straight away or you're not. So if I don't go for Trent or Salah, I'm probably not going to set myself up in a way where I can get them easily. And I don't really see what's inflexible. Like, everyone's 9 million or less in midfield. I mean, Trippier, maybe you could argue that I should have a route for him. I mean, people hate strong benches. They really, I know, I get it. But there's rotation there. I mean, Estupiñán doesn't have perfect fixtures. I mean, they're not awful, but like Man United away, I could bench him in game week 5. Newcastle at home, game week 4. Well, guess who I've got on the bench in game weeks 4 and 5? I've got Pedro Porro against Burnley and Sheffield United. I've got Chilwell against Forest and Bournemouth. Who does Luke Shaw have in game week 4 and 5? Arsenal and Brighton. So instead of Shaw and Estupiñán, I could play Chilwell and Porro if this was my draft, as an example. If there's one thing FPL managers hate, it's a good bench. They hate it. They absolutely hate it. Mitch Fisher, thank you very much for becoming a member. Overall, I'm not sure Man City are great for clean sheets. I think they are. They are the strongest defence. They limit the most chances. I mean, obviously... Oh, I didn't tweet my live thing. Obviously, if Ederson keeps conceding from the first shot on target every time, it will be an absolute nightmare. But Man City, I think, were a bit unlucky to not get more clean sheets last year. Strong bench avoids transfers, which theoretically cost you 4 points. Yeah, I think that's the thing. People hate strong benches because they hate seeing points there. And like the general consensus is rotation doesn't work, but at the end of the day, you can only make the best decision with the fixtures and stuff you've got in front of you. So if I bench Estepinian and Luke Shaw because they've got fixtures like Man United away and Arsenal away, and I play teams with like Bournemouth, Sheffield United, Burnley, and it doesn't pay off, that's just one of those things in FPL. But also, if one of my players gets injured, I'm not forced into a transfer straight away because I've got that strong bench. Again, this will almost certainly not be my final team, but I don't think it's that bad. I really don't. Lost so many formations, midfielders, premiums to exclude. I think FPL have nailed it this season. Looks to be a fun one. Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is when we get to double game week season, I mean, it's going to be a bit different this year because there shouldn't be as many postponements, which means there shouldn't be as many little double game weeks. But because of the pricing, right? Let's say I've got this team and Spurs get a double game week. Okay, maybe getting Harry Kane would be difficult, but getting Maddison and Son, super easy. I just swap Odegaard and Saka or whatever it is to those two players. So it's quite easy to to get the double game week players in. I mean, maybe it won't be. Maybe we'll get there and it'll be a lot more difficult. But because so many of the players are cheap and the same price, it's quite easy to do. Whereas if like Saka was 9.5 and like everyone would just up like another 0.5, it might be a bit more difficult. Or maybe if there's a bit of a different spread in prices. But I agree for game week 1, it's not that easy to nail down the obvious 11. I do think a lot of the picks kind of pick them. I do think the core of it is quite easy though. Like Gabriel, for me, unless I go triple Arsenal attack, Gabriel will definitely be in there. Saka, Haaland, Rashford, I'm pretty sure is going to make it. Estepinian, I'm quite happy with. I mean, I guess that's 5. It's like nearly half the team. Yeah, so I was thinking this earlier on, right? This is for this point here. And Nkunku better because Foden and Grealish don't guarantee you game time. So everyone's in a 3-5-2. Not everyone, but most people are in a 3-5-2. And if you are someone that's looking at Foden or a 7, like if you're looking at a Foden or a Grealish or a Maddison, then you could quite easily just be in a 3-4-3 with Nkunku instead. And I just think if he's nailed on at Chelsea, and if you believe Pochettino will get them playing well, and he's on penalties, surely in isolation, Nkunku is a better option than Foden, Grealish and Maddison for the same price. I think that happens in pre-season. I think because everyone is certain that 3-5-2 is the best formation, they feel like anything else looks too weak. But it's just I've got a video coming to talk about this. There's just a perception thing. I think if you weigh up those players individually, Nkunku could be the better option. Another idea is just transfer out Shaw and Estepinian in game week 4 for Chilwell and Porro with 2 free transfers. Yeah, but then you're booking transfers. What if loads of other stuff happens? Boom, I'm already set. I've got Chilwell and Porro on the bench. Crap, but you can have them all. Yeah, of course. I don't. Again, Mbomo's a pretty strong pick. I think. I don't think it's a guarantee that Grealish, even with the fixtures, is a better pick than Mbomo. Honestly. Maybe I should have just blanked this team. This is not my team. I'm arguing for a team that I won't go with in game week 1. Just remember that a lot of people bet with me last year that Fernandes was the worst option than Grealish, and look what happened there. I think Grealish got like two returns in 2 game weeks. Everyone went nuts for him, and they barely did anything for the rest of the season. I don't think Mbomo's like Neto. I get why people are saying it. I think he's just a good pick. Like if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. I do think he's a pretty good pick. Like he's not essential or anything like that, but he's decent enough. I do think a Man City player will work themselves into this draft that's not Haaland, especially an attacker. Are Evan Ferguson and Calvert-Lewin good options? I've kind of gone off Calvert-Lewin because it feels like he's struggling with injuries again going into game week 1. We'll see what happens over the next 3 weeks. Evan Ferguson, I just feel like there's too many options at Brighton. Like I agree with everyone that he's probably first choice and their best strikers, so that obviously bodes well. And because there's like a week in between games, he may well get the first kind of 3 to 4. I feel like Evan Ferguson is someone I could talk myself into having, but I don't know. Right now, I'm a bit unsure about that price point. I feel as if my team is better with them, or is it worth taking risks, i.e. Matoma to Enciso to get Jesus? Nah, I don't think Enciso's worth. I think I'd probably rather have Evan Ferguson than Enciso. Dominic, no Trent or Salah. I think no Liverpool asset will hurt us in the long run. If Gakpo, Diaz, or Nunez are nailed, then there's the option. Yeah, obviously, like I said it already. If any of those players become nailed, they're fantastic. If you have no Trent or Salah early, it can be hard to get them. Yeah, you could wildcard. I think people sometimes they think about the wildcard as if, yeah, whatever, I'll just use it if I need to. We probably should put more thought into it than that, but it is a backup if things become really bad. Look, I think the way the price is done and the way most people are setting their teams up, you have to commit in game week 1. You're either going for no Liverpool, you're going for both, or you're going for just one. And that is your commitment in game week 1, and you just cannot panic after a few game weeks. Like, if Trent smashes Bournemouth and you've not got him, you cannot then panic him in. And it's probably not a good idea anyway. I mean, you can. I'm not saying obviously you can do what you want, but it's probably not the best way to do it. I feel like you've got to commit early. Brighton's being overestimated with the departure of McAllister, Carwell, and possibly even Caicedo. Yeah, Caicedo looks like he's going to go eventually. They just need to get the money right. Yeah, potentially. But I just think a lot of people... I've got faith in De Zerbi. I think they'll probably be okay. They could be an issue. But again, like, Brighton players aren't that expensive. Like 6.5 million from Matoma. I mean, it seems like a perfectly fine risk. I mean, obviously, I could go Pedro Porro to a 4... If I wanted to keep this draft, I could go Porro to a 4.5 million... 4 million defender and just upgrade Matoma to a Maddison or something like that. I don't think Lamptey will start, and he's very injury prone, but yeah, we can definitely keep an eye on it. How much would you read into the Community Shield squad for Man City if Foden starts? Would he start game week 1? I mean, the Community Shield's a good indication of what's going to happen going into game week 1, yeah. So if, like, De Bruyne is injured and Foden's playing in midfield and he does well, then yeah, suddenly game week 1 looks like a good option. And also, there's quite a few other midfielders you could move to with Foden. Like this new draft deals, have you contemplated a 3-4-3? Yes, Haaland and Nkunku and Jesus, I think it looks quite nice. But, so again, got a video coming on that. I know as soon as people see that draft, they're going to question why I've not just got Martinelli in a 3-5-2. All this budget and still no Awani. The fixtures are so bad, though. I don't know. I mean, for 6.5 million, he may be better than Solanke and whoever else is 6.5. Martial, I can't remember the rest of them. But the fixtures are so bad. Do I think that Estupiñán is a better option than a City defender? I think he's probably better than the £5 million City defenders. If you've got 5.5, there's probably an argument to try and risk someone like Stones because of the amount of clean sheets they might get. But I don't know. I keep seeing people say that Estupiñán has to be sold for a Chelsea defender. But look at the first 6 fixtures. Don't get me wrong, this isn't great. Villa, Liverpool, City. But I look at the first 6 fixtures. Okay, is Newcastle at home a fixture to target with a defender? No, Newcastle are a very strong team. But as part of a 6-game fixture run, are you that bothered about playing Estupiñán at home? I don't think I would be. So the only one that really puts me off is Man United. I feel like every other one in the first 6 game weeks is probably okay. And like I said, after that, it doesn't get great. But do you know what? With this draft, don't need to worry about it. I've got Chilwell and Pedro Porro on the bench. Who have you got? If you go Trent, what would your other changes be? It would just be Odegaard and Shaw to... No, I don't know. There'd be too many changes to think of. I'd have to reduce the money on the bench, I think. So I'd probably I'd probably go for Chilwell to a 4.5, Pedro Porro to a 4. That's an extra 2.5 million. That would actually give me enough money to do Shaw to Trent. Actually, that's a pretty good draft, isn't it? Let's do this now. Thinking on the fly. But again, the bench is quite weak, though. Then you do suddenly start... You see what I mean about the strong bench, right? People are really against a strong bench, but as soon as Estupiñán's got bad fixtures, they want to sell him. Whereas if you've got that good bench, you're not really forced into that necessarily. You could look elsewhere. I'm not saying you should go for that strong bench, but I'm just trying to put the point across that everyone seems really against it. But as soon as a defender's got a bad fixture, you've got to have a transfer pre-booked. Got to have a transfer. Anyway, Trent in, and then Chilwell to probably Henry. In which case, I would probably swap the goalkeeper because I wouldn't want double Brentford. And then, oh no, I don't have enough money. I've worked this out wrong because I'm an idiot. Actually, do you know what you can do? You can get Martinelli in, who, as you know, I absolutely love. There you go. Everyone's going to be much happy with this draft because the bench is cheaper. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to put Adebayo first bench, Henry third. There you go. You happy now? Are you happy now? Actually looks pretty good, doesn't it? Pretty happy with that. Maybe this will be my draft. I love streaming in pre-season. First question: why no Odegaard? Well, I just showed you. I had to get some money. I had to get some money. What a team! What a team! I could put Adebayo to a 4.5. I could put Henry to another 4. I could do Mitoma to Foden. That bench is too weak. Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about it. That bench is actually not that weak. Because I've got a play-in forward as long as Adebayo keeps getting minutes. Seriously, come on, no Man United defender. Can we? Any other questions that aren't about this freaking draft? It's crazy that Odegaard's priced more than Martinelli. Do you think it's that crazy? Do you think it's that crazy? I mean, I've got to be honest. When I saw that Saka was the same as Odegaard, I did think that Martinelli would come in at the same price. So he probably should be 8.5. So yeah, maybe you're right. Plan just being overlooked. Brighton have European commitments, look set to lose the spine of their midfield. I wouldn't expect SGP to keep many clean sheets. Yeah, but when does Europe start? After game week 5 or 6? Still a few good fixtures before that. Jesus at 8 million last season was must-have. What changed? Well, what changed was all the pricing, right? I saw someone say the same thing about a different player on Twitter. I can't remember who it was now. No, someone asked me, what did they... Maybe it was about Salah. I can't remember. Someone said a similar thing to me. They said, "What? You were always all over this player. What's changed?" I thought, well, the pricing has changed. Rashford's no longer 6.5 million. Martinelli's not 6 million anymore. That's what's changed. I like Jesus for what it's worth. Something about Nkunku, though. How does Luton postpone matches affect Game Week 1 selections? Well, interestingly, it depends. If we find out that they've got a double game week in, like, I don't know, Game Weeks 5, 6, 7 or 8 or something like that, I don't know what's possible. You'd have to ask James or Ben. But all of a sudden, there might be a case to put a few players from Luton and Burnley on the bench. So maybe instead of Baldock, you have Bayer. I've got Adebayo. So maybe for the bench, they suddenly become a little bit better. It would only really matter if we know when the double game week's going to be. But ultimately, if Adebayo is the only playing £5 million forward, and I feel like I want that on the bench, I would just have him even though he's blanking in game week 2, because he's mostly going to be on the bench anyway. If both nailed, who do you prefer, Nkunku or Sterling? Ooh, it's pretty close, but if Nkunku's got penalties, probably him. Just about. I don't know. Sterling 0.5 million cheaper listed as a midfielder. Tricky. My gut tells me Nkunku. Triple captain Adebayo in the double game week. Nah, probably not triple captain, but I would play him. I would think about captain. I'd probably want Morris though. Penalty taker, 5.5. More nailed maybe. Tom, how's it going? 12 months. Great to have you back. Everyone's overlooking Liverpool assets. I don't think they are. I think everyone's considering them. They're just trying to spread the money. They're going to score a lot of goals. There must be a way into that team. I mean, Trent's in. Like, the thing is, the only other player I want is Salah. And Salah's a lot more money. Like, again, Diaz, Jota, Gakpo, Darwin, all great if you know who's going to play every single game. But even if they do start, there's a very high chance that they get subbed off early. So minutes-wise, not necessarily great. And I think that's why I would look at Nkunku and Jesus ahead of a Gakpo or a Darwin right now. That might change if we do get some injuries and stuff, but That's the problem. Liverpool will score a lot of goals. This is why Arsenal is such a good team for FPL because, and look, it might be different this year because of Champions League and stuff, but they don't rotate their 11 that much. And so you know who's going to play, but not only do you know who's going to play, they're also a great team for clean sheets and goals. Whereas Liverpool, completely agree, going to score plenty of goals this year as they always do, but their players are either way more difficult to get because of budget or are not nailed or don't have good minutes. I feel like everyone can make a great draft with one of Trent or Salah. The funds seem to be spread too much without one of them in. Again, it goes back to the bench point. I think that's why most people are going to have a Liverpool player because they can't cope with having money on the bench. Do you think you'll ever restructure your team when Haaland has difficult fixtures and Kane and Salah have easy ones? I mean, maybe. Like Haaland... I mean, what's a difficult fixture for Haaland? I mean, based on... I'm so scared of Haaland based on last year. I feel like I just can never bench him. Never not captain him. Like game week 8, Arsenal away, but I think Liverpool got Brighton away. So although that would be although Salah on paper is probably the better captain that week, because it's an away game to Brighton, I'm not sure that would be enough to put me off just captaining Haaland. Like Brighton at home, Man United away, maybe this period here, right? So game weeks 9 to 13. But then one of the games is against Liverpool anyway. Game weeks 9 to 13. Look, here, Salah would be nice. Everton at home, Forest at home, Luton away. I think game week 12, Man City got Bournemouth, or is it 11? 11. So you don't like for Brighton at home and Man United away. Maybe you go a Liverpool player. So Brighton at home, Man United away. You could have Everton at home, Forest at home. So Salah would be better. But would I, if I got to that point and I had other stuff to worry about and I didn't want a wild card, would I definitely restructure to get Salah? Possibly. Depends how Haaland's looking. Let's not forget he smashed Man United last year. That might have been at home, I think, but still. Honestly, I don't think there's any point in looking what you can do without Haaland because ultimately I'm never going to go without Haaland unless he's injured. So it's just pointless. And also, the first thing I would think about is probably just getting Salah or Kane, and they're only 1.5 million less, so you can't do a massive amount with it. So it's just pointless looking at it. Yeah, it was the home game. Haven't heard your thoughts on Garnacho, especially. I think Garnacho is just pointless looking at because he's not going to get enough minutes. Like, essentially, let's say that Højlund signs. It does look like Man United are going to eventually get him. He would be first choice striker. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to play every game from the start. There might be a bed-in process. Martial might still get used in some games. But likelihood is he would be first choice forward at some point. Therefore, Rashford's playing on the left. And therefore, there's no room for Garnacho. And even if Højlund's not playing and Martial's injured again and Rashford's playing up front, you've still got Sancho who can play on the left as well. And also, I think Mason Mount is the kind of... I saw some discussion yesterday that Mount won't always play the Eriksen role because Eriksen will still get game time. And I think that is true. But Mason Mount's just one of those players that managers always seem to want to get into the team. So even if Ten Hag lined up with Casemiro, Eriksen and Fernandes in midfield, I could see some situations where maybe he would play Rashford up front and possibly get Mount in the team by putting him on the left, maybe on the right instead of Anthony. So I just think Garnacho's minutes are just rubbish, basically. FPL fluffed it with the prices. Yes, a lot less essential picks, but Haaland on 14 million is non-debatable as a lot of midfielders are too cheap. Yeah, although, again, I am struggling a little bit. I mean, I guess I'm struggling to decide exactly which 11 I want or 15, but ultimately, I know whichever team I pick is going to be a good pick. So I guess it's not that. I guess the prices aren't that much of an issue. Yeah, you put Haaland to 15 million. You maybe increase Saka to 9.5, Martinelli and Odegaard to 9, Rashford to 9.5, Fernandes to 9. Suddenly, then it becomes a bit more of a discussion. Haaland's only non-debatable because the fixtures are boring. Yeah, that does come into it as well. What are my thoughts on 4-5-1? I really like 4-5-1, potentially. But I would preferably want a playing forward, which is going to cost you 5 or 5.5. And that's where it becomes a little bit trickier. But theoretically, I like it. I think this is probably a pipe dream. But the word on the street, not getting my words out. The word on the street is that Mitrovic really wants to leave Fulham. He wants to go and play in the Saudi leagues. They don't necessarily want to let him go. They've priced him too high and stuff like that. But if he went and they didn't sign anyone, presumably they would. But let's say they didn't, then suddenly Vinicius at 5 million might also be a playing forward. So you could try something like this, but you've still only got 2.5 million to spend with Trent in the team. So it's not necessarily perfect, but you could do like Matoma. I know everyone loves Foden, so let's just put Foden in. You could go Matoma to Foden, and then use this money. I don't know. Whichever way around you want to do it, right? You could put someone like Chilwell in. I don't know, like that. But again, I do think 4-5-1 probably works better without Trent. But you could do something like that. Then you've got 3 playing players on the bench, and then you'd mostly just play your defenders every week. Those four attacking-ish defenders. No, pretty much attacking defenders. So I quite like it. Obviously, if a forward suddenly become must-have, then even if Jesus or Watkins went up in price, you're not really screwed over because Martinelli and Vinicius would go to an 8.5 in Nakamba. So you have got a bit of flexibility there. What if a mid-price striker emerges? Well, you got these 2 moves, isn't it? I mean, there's always this, right? What if you go 3-4-3 and you figure out you need a 5th midfielder? It's 2 transfers. I mean, it's not ideal, but that's how you do it. Martinelli to a forward. They're all 8 million or below, unless you want Kane. So it's 2 moves. And you've got 0.5 million leeway because if you want to play a midfielder, you can get Nakamba. Or whoever's playing for 4.5. So I quite like it, to be honest. I think it could be decent. But I would really, just for security, want those 2 £5 million forwards. But to be honest, if... the other way to do it, by the way, sorry, just while we're talking about it, Sims isn't in the game anymore. You could put a 5.5 million on the bench to kind of guarantee those minutes and just have 1 dud. So, like that. Or you could just have a 5 and a 4.5 and spend 0.5 million elsewhere, right? There's loads of different ways to do it. You could upgrade you could upgrade Johnston to an Onana or something like that. I'm not watching the Ashes right now. No, I'm literally live streaming. I'd like to be, especially when England are smashing it, but that's the thing. The first Ashes test or 2 were on when there was no FPL, so I think the first test I watched nearly every single minute, but this one I've hardly seen any. Do you prefer to spend most of the money on the starting 11 or have a good bench? Most on the 11, but I'm not against having a... when I say like a good bench, I'm not talking like £6-7 million players, but having like a decent 4.5, maybe in a 5 million defender, maybe even a Chilwell, could be decent. It's 96% rating, very nice. 97%. I think my last draft was 94. Don't forget, by the way, if you do sign up for any of the hub memberships at the moment, there's up to 50% off if you want to use some of the other features of my team and stuff like that. And if you don't win your mini-league, they'll give you your money back. There's terms and conditions and stuff. It's all in the description below if you want to check it out. So England were rubbish whilst you could watch and half decent when you couldn't. Kind of, although the first test you might say that England were... I think the first 2 tests England were close-ish. Maybe not the second one. First one possibly. Should have done better. Villa looking good this season, but which players? I don't think Moreno is completely out of the question. I don't think many people are considering him because he's obviously injured. But we'll see if he's fit to start the season. Pau Torres, probably not Watkins straight away. Probably wouldn't go for any attacker straight away from Villa. And Nkunku and Martinelli is fire. Arguably better than Jesus in a 7.5 million mid plus Chelsea asset already in place. Yeah, I do like Nkunku. Tempted by Gakpo for first 2 game weeks. Yeah, presumably Gakpo will still be first choice number 9, but there must be a chance that Darwin gets that position. If early team news came out and Foden was benched, what would you do? Well, I probably wouldn't own him. Don't know if I'm going to own him anyway, to be honest. Yeah, Diaby maybe, but let's see. let's see what price he comes in at first. Because I think like 3 of the first 6 for Villa aren't necessarily that great. Thoughts on Konate's route to Liverpool defence? Yes, I think he should be pretty much nailed on. He'll be first choice alongside Van Dijk, that's for sure. So yeah, if you want to cover those Liverpool fixtures, he's a good option. Darwin got the number 9 shirt. I don't think it really makes a difference, to be honest. Really don't. Thoughts on dropping Trent to Chilwell to fund a Foden Madison double up in a 3-5-2? Yeah, potentially, but it depends who you're upgrading. Like, if it's like Trent and Mbomo versus Chilwell, I can't work out the money there, but Chilwell Madison, I think that's quite close. Anana's not in the game yet, I don't think. No, they must know he's coming. There must be something behind the scenes that takes him a bit of time to do it, but he has been officially unveiled now, so I'm surprised it's not been done. And we're looking at Newcastle players in the first few games. Probably not. I do think Trippier's not really been talked about whatsoever, for good reason for game week 1, because the fixtures are bad and he's quite expensive. But he is a player that from game week 5 onwards could be great. Like you could say this about a lot of players, I realise, but I'm just trying to make the point. If Newcastle had these fixtures to open the season, we'd all have Trippier in our draft. And so it's fair game to not have him now. But I do wonder how we're going to get to him in game week 5. I mean, look, if Gabriel, Estepinian, Shaw and Chilwell, who are cheaper, etc., are doing really well, it probably won't matter that much. But he is someone to think about. No, this isn't my latest draft. I would, again, just ignore the draft. We've been playing around with it a little bit. Just don't put too much thought into it. We're just discussing different options. That's all. Well, I've only got about 5 more minutes now. I'm going to have to shoot off, I'm afraid. There's a few more people watching than I expected, though. So thanks for that. Make sure you give the video a like. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I think 400k. So I'm very tired. 400k by game week 1 was probably a bit ambitious, but you know, who knows? We get to 350 plus. What do you think Yuri and Timber will get? Not many minutes, I would say. Not early on. I think the back four would just be White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Zinchenko again, to be honest. No idea when Onana's price will be revealed. He's almost certainly going to be 5 million. Bowen is brilliant. I mean, he is, but the fixtures are bad. I've really got no interest in Bowen. I think a lot of people are talking him up because he scored well in pre-season. I don't think many people were considering him before that. So I think pre-season is swinging the narrative a little bit. Yeah, Trippier's price might drop a little bit. Jean, do Trent to Shaw and Kunku to Wissa, Martinez to Salah just to try it on. I can't. Am I going to send an FPL beginner's guide video? Create one? Probably not this season. I've kind of half done it before. It didn't really do that well though. Probably need to rethink about how to do it. Probably need to get someone to help me out with the old motion graphics and stuff. When am I making an appearance on the FPL show? Maybe this season. Probably not in studio, but maybe you might see me this year a bit more. Well, I don't think you saw me at all last year. But we'll see. We'll see. Do you get bored of FPL day in, day out? Not really. Like it's a good job. So sometimes I might wake up and think I just don't want to make a video today, but then I just remind myself, what a great job. And it ain't so bad. If Heaton went to Luton, would you start him with Areola? If Areola was definitely first choice, I do think I would probably go double £4 million goalkeepers. Probably. Because at that point, I don't think you can say that Flecken, Steele, Johnston, Henderson are definitely better than Areola plus 0.5 million. So I would be tempted. I would definitely be tempted. Yeah, Kivior can play instead of Gabriel or Zinchenko, but I think the first choice back four at the start of the season will be the 4 Arsenal players that I said. Best Brighton midfielder. I think it's close between March and Matoma, so just pick whichever one you like. I probably got Matoma ahead, but just because really I like him. He was my favourite last year. Yeah, Harvey Barnes. It'd be interesting to see what price he comes in at Newcastle. Someone said to me this morning that he's going to be nailed on. I just don't think that's the case at all. Like, I think you got to remember, when everyone's fit, Joe Linton was used in that left wing spot a lot of times. Like he was basically first choice. So the idea that Harvey Barnes is now nailed on would mean that Joe Linton goes into midfield, but you've got Tonali and Bruno, who surely are nailed on, and then you've got Longstaff, Joe Linton, Anderson, and there's someone else, Willock as well. So obviously Newcastle are in Champions League, so they're trying to strengthen the depth because they need it for injuries and stuff like that. But I don't know if Barnes would definitely be nailed on from minute one. And also, like, Gordon, his best position is probably on the left as well. And if you're going to play Barnes every week on the left, which I don't think they will, but if you were, well, that means no room for Isak. So that means there's rotation between Isak and Wilson for the number 9 spot. So all in all, especially with the fixtures, I just don't think Newcastle players are worth thinking about too much, apart from maybe having one on your bench if you wanted to. There's just a lot. Like I still believe, despite what happened last year, towards the end, that Isak is first choice number 9. So we'll see. But obviously Wilson's always there to take minutes off him. But with the amount of players they got on the left now, I just can't imagine that Isak's going to be used there that often. Have I seen the new video from James Lawrence Alcott talking about Premier League using number 8s in a different way this season? Had me thinking new FPL thoughts. I haven't seen it yet. I do think, though, that I've... How many times have I said this now? I've talked about this in a video that's not been released yet, but Mason Mount coming in, I think Man United under Ten Hag have pretty much always played like a 4-2-3-1. I think they might switch to a 4-3-3 and use Fernandes and Mason Mount as number 8s. And so I think there's a potential that Fernandes has to do a little bit more work deeper. Basically, I think at times Fernandes will be forward and Mount might be a bit deeper, and then vice versa. So I wonder if Mason Mount might make Fernandes a worse option. Maybe. Slightly. Tonali's a shout for assist creation, takes corners too. Guess what? I got a video coming up soon which talks about Tonali, because I think most people reckon that Tonali's coming in to be like a DM, but I think Bruno Guimaraes is going to be the deepest midfielder, and Tonali could be kind of given license to get forward. For what it's worth, I don't think Tonali becomes an FPL option, but who knows? So so my thought was more that box to box exactly, but with a bit of license to get further forward than people think right now. Tips for my girlfriend just getting into FPL: make sure she subscribes. Oh, Bruno was playing further forward. Oh, was playing DM and Tonali further forward in the friendly the other night. There you go. There you go. So now it's just going to sound like I watched that friendly and talked about it, but I recorded the video like 2 days ago. Why isn't the Brighton keeper in many drafts? People just don't like doubling up in game week 1, and most people have got Estepinian. That's it. I actually think that whoever's Brighton number 1 going into the season is probably the best 4.5 million goalkeeper in isolation. But when you start adding Estepinian to the mix and you think about combinations, that's why you're not seeing him that often. Anyway, I've got to go. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy that, make sure to give it a like. Hit that subscribe button. Maybe we'll do another few live Q&As before the season starts. Either way, there's loads of videos coming out again this week. I've already got most of them recorded, so plenty to come. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy your draft tinkering, and I'll see you again soon.